What is up, guys? Matt Parrino, NewYorkUpstate.com, Syracuse.com, coming to you from a dorm room at St. John Fisher College in Pittsford, New York. It's Pittsford, New York. It's a big week for Bills fans. Training camp is starting up. Let me get this video up here just in case I can see what's going on. Very cool. Gonna move back here. Couple things, this is my first training camp, very excited. Couple of things that I've learned from day one. Number one, it is hot. I'm coming from Las Vegas, but it is super hot out here. I'm sweating just in the room right now. Number two, I should have brought some suntan lotion, because yesterday was pretty, sun was coming down and it was at night, so this thing's going to get a little bit more crazy. Exciting day one. I mean, our first look at rookie quarterback Josh Allen. I was really excited to, not only look at him from the perspective of seeing what he's able to do on the field, but kind of wanted to see, quarterback is that superstar, right? Like, what kind of moxie does he have? What kind of demeanor does he have? How does he talk to his teammates? And I was really impressed with, how, he has all those star qualities, the way that he kind of carries himself. On the field, there was a few good plays, a few bad plays, but overall, I thought, you got to get him out there and see what happens. You look back at, Carson Wentz, a guy that, his college coach also coached, and a guy that he's, going to be linked to for a while. Came out and threw 14 interceptions in his first season. I'm sure every day out at training camp wasn't necessarily a star-studded performance. So there was it's going to take time for him to develop. He's coming from Wyoming, probably not the stiffest competition in the college game. So he's able to come out here, get his first looks with professional quality players, and as the reps start going, another thing to mention is, he was a late add to camp. I mean, or to the roster. He signed his rookie deal a day before camp, so he's coming in here probably like a whirlwind, which I'm sure a lot of this is for a lot of these rookie players. But first day takeaways, fans are excited. People, it has a feeling of a big-time player in camp. And I think that's what Bills fans wanted, right? A franchise quarterback candidate. A guy that, you can kind of rally behind, watch him develop, and, see where it goes. The other two quarterbacks in camp yesterday had their moments, looked good. Nathan Peterman was with the first team. He made a couple really nice, solid passes, and I was really impressed with his. Talk about demeanor. I mean, he carries himself like a professional athlete. He really came over, did a great media scrum, and I was, I took that away from it, as opposed to A.J. McCarron, who another guy with the most experience of the three. His media scrum was a little bit more. He seemed annoyed. You know what I mean? Like to be in his fifth or sixth season and fighting for. A job, a guy that was a star at Alabama, was a superb player, and at the college level, he's had to fight, scratch and claw for everything he's gotten in the NFL, and so I think you saw a bit of that. But I think the quarterback competition is going to give us something to talk about all camp long, and it's exciting. Another thing that is going to give us a lot to talk about, and we got our first taste of everything yesterday, was the LeSean McCoy situation. It was reported earlier this week that he was going to be in camp, and so that was what the buzz was coming into this start of camp is, what's he going to do? What's he going to say? He held a quick press conference, didn't really say much, said it's an ongoing investigation, an open investigation. He's going to let that play out. Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane seemed very confident in the people that they spoke to, and they looked into this situation, and they're confident that they're going to have Shady McCoy for a while. So that's a good sign for Bills fans. He spent some time signing autographs after practice, looked in good spirits. So, and that's important, because if you look at this offense, the offensive line retooling that a bit with the retirements of Incognito and Wood, and a wide receiver core that is going to be searching for playmakers. Shady McCoy is going to be a very important piece of this offense that the Bills are going to keep this season. So yeah, it was a great first day of camp. It's exciting for me because coming from the UFC world, I've spent some time in some NFL locker rooms through the years, various events the UFC was doing, and to be up close and personal with it was very, very, very cool. I mean, fans out there, stadium was packed. Josh Allen was obviously the star, but they got to meet and greet with all these players, and it was a really exciting day. The offensive line, interesting. So Russell Bodine took the snaps with the first team and at center. No sign of Ryan Groy. I had John Miller and Jordan Mills were on the other side there, and so it'll be interesting to watch as camp progresses, pads come on, and then into the preseason, how all of these different matchups play out. Not too much to report on Tremaine Edmonds. That's a name that I was very interested in taking a peek at. Didn't stand out too much in day one, nothing that I saw. I didn't see a lot of reaction on social media either. But that's somebody that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, especially starting today. One thing of note is he's huge. And he towers over, linebackers and cornerbacks out there. So definitely an exciting prospect to see. Who's this? Leroy Pete. Let the best man win the quarterback job and not Peterman. Cut him or put him on the practice squad. Hey, I mean, that's a good question, or that's a good comment. I mean, I could see Nathan Peterman winning this job. The guy, the coaches like him. Like I said before, he's got, the demeanor to be a professional, not franchise, but professional quarterback. And I think that, Josh Allen, he's just starting out at this. I mean, I think there's a prevailing school of thought that it might be the best idea to have Josh Allen kind of play it slow, and learn, develop, maybe not throw him in with the Wolves right out of the gate week one. And Peterman, he looked calm, cool, and collected yesterday. Like, he's going to come here, do his job, do his work, and try to win this job. And that was one thing that both the quarterbacks talked about yesterday, McCarron and Peterman. They're not going to concern themselves with who's getting first team reps, who's getting second team reps, who's number one on the depth chart. They're just going to come out and try to let their skills and their play determine how this thing plays out. And I think it's going to be exciting to watch. I've one thing cool with me too is being my first training camp, my second day here about to start. I'm kind of like taking all of this in for the first time as well. I was over on walking out of the practice field and kind of trying to figure out where to go. It's a cool experience, and I do tell my brother texted me. He asked me how it was, and he had family coming into town and said, should we go to should we bring him to camp? And I said, definitely, man. This is a really, really cool atmosphere. I think the NFL does this really well. The Bills specifically do this really well. I come from the UFC, like I said, not to keep going back, but they do fan events really well too, like access to the players. And at no time are you going to have access to the players and be this up close and personal like you will at training camp. And Kyle Williams, a guy that legend here in Buffalo, right? I mean, the first guy to start signing autographs, and he was pretty much one of the last guys that I saw stop. And it's a fun time. I'm excited for the rest of the way here. Pads will come on in a few days, if I understand correctly, and this is exciting. Bills season, first preseason game, just a couple weeks away. Follow Buffalo Bills or Bills updates on Twitter, New York Upstate, on all social media channels, and hit me up on all the social media channels. Let me know what you're interested in, what questions you have, anything that you want to see from NY Up this season, and as we progress through training camp. I love talking to fans. Be looking out for talk to some fans today at at training camp. If you're going to be at training camp and you see me, send me a message on Twitter, tweet at me, or call me over. I'd love to talk to you and talk Bills. And excited for the season, man. This is about to get going here. And got one more question here. How happy were you when Andy Dalton threw that touchdown? It was. I was in Vegas. I was sitting in a sports book with one other Bills fan, and I think that was the loudest moment of the day in the sports book. Screaming heads. He had a couple other people there as well, but yeah, it was an exciting moment. I mean, how many times in sports do you have that much going on at one time? I mean, between the two games, watching, the Bills, where there was a little bit of a scare in the second half there that they might not even take care of business, and then it looked like, the Bengals were, in trouble. So, or the Bengals, were going to win that game. So, yeah, Andy Dalton, what a game! I see Bills 10-6 this year. Wow, that's an interesting, very, very hopeful prediction. But hey, who knows? I mean, that's one thing. You've seen all these prognostications across, media, and a lot of people saying 2 wins for the Bills, 3 wins for the Bills, 4 wins. You don't know how this is going to play out. Sean McDermott is very confident in what he's doing here, and Brandon Beane and the players that they have. My record prediction, I think they're going to be around 6-7 wins. I think it's tough to make a prediction going into camp because there's so much that you want to see with especially a team like this that has so many question marks. Who's going to be the starting quarterback? Is LaShawn McCoy going to be available, and is he going to be available for the entire extent of the season? Not saying that it's an alleged incident, but once this thing progresses, if there's charges that come about, that could put his playing ability in jeopardy. So right now, without knowing a lot of things that we need to know, how's this offensive line going to look? The defense is much improved. How much are they going to be on the field? Until we see all of that, I'm going to be on the safe side and say around 6 or 7 wins for the Bills. But like I said, it's tough to make predictions at this stage. I don't think anybody was predicting the Bills to win 9 games last year and go in the playoffs outside of the Bills Mafia. And Sean McDermott came in here and did the job. His defense, they returned pretty much that whole secondary outside of E.J. Gaines, 3 of the 4 spots, and that's exciting. Will Tom Brady decline? Great question. It's going to happen someday, isn't it? It's going to happen eventually here. I think you're 50 years old. It's interesting though because there's never been so much discord or discontent around the organization, right? All the reports of some tension between Belichick and Brady, but I think that I think you're going to start to see Tom Brady decline. He's in a great position, he's in a great system, but I think over you see it with all the greats. Brett Favre, a guy that was so great for so long, but eventually time catches up with you, and I think that the weapons in New England, they got that Sonny Michel with your first round picks. They got some new blood in the backfield. Still got Rob Gronkowski, but his health is always a question mark, and I think that when he doesn't play, I think that you see the production go down, or at least the insane production that Tom Brady puts up go down. So we'll see Julian Edelman's going to be out for a while. So we'll see. It'll be something to watch out for. I know Bills fans are hoping for the best in that scenario. Like I said, follow us on social media. Buffalo Bills on NY Up here on Facebook. Bills updates on Twitter, and yeah, we'll see you. We're gonna get out. Brian Dable is gonna do a press conference at 1:45. Camp practice starts at 2:15. Excited, can't wait. Stay with us on NY Up and Syracuse.com. We'll bring you all the coverage. All right, guys.